Hello! This video will instruct you how to make a paper flower angel ornament using the angel paper flower template. So you're going to cut everything according to the instruction document. So with your purchase of the template in my Etsy shop, you're going to receive the flower ball template. You're going to receive a template for angel wings, the skirt, and then the angel petals. You will also need a 1-inch wood bead, and then also some jute cord. Now I'm using white Nina paper, but you could also use like a cream color if you wanted to, depending on what color paper you're using. I did cut one also to make one with a cream shimmer paper by recollection. So there's a lot of different colors you could use. So again, the cording or the twine that you're using, jute cord, would all depend. You can also use the embroidery thread, which is thin as well. So whatever you wanted to use, you can use for your angels to make it more personalized for your tree or for gifts if you're making it for a maker's market. Okay, so again, cut everything, set it up. So I sell them by individual files. You'll upload your files to your cutting machine and then set up the project. So you would just duplicate it. So we're making 2 flowers, so you would need 12 petals because it's 6 flowers per petal. So we're going to stack 3 of them at a time. Place your dowel rod down in the middle of the petal. So we're using the 1/8 inch dowel rod. Place it down in the middle of your petal, thumb on top, index finger underneath, pinch it up and roll it along. Thumb on top, index finger underneath, pinch up and roll. Pinch and roll. You need to pardon my voice or my sniffles. I do have a minor cold. Place your dowel rod down in the middle of the petal, thumb on top, index finger underneath, pinch it up and roll. Okay. Thumb, index finger, pinch and roll. We're doing that for all 6 petals of this flower. And again, you're going to duplicate this process to create a second flower for the back of our angel. Okay. So we're going to take 3 of them on our flower shaping mat. So it's a soft foam mat. And if you are in need of any tools that we are using today, I do offer some of them in my Etsy shop as noted on the instruction document, and you can just go under the paper flower tools section. We're just going to separate 3 of them. Now for our bottom layer, I am going to open up the petals ever so slightly for the first 3 petals, just because we don't need them curled as much, but I wanted to keep it consistent using the same dowel rod for all 6 layers. Take your metal ball stylus tool. We're not going to roll the first one. We're going to roll the other 2 right in the center. Add a dab of hot glue. And we're just going to look at a petal and place them in between the 2 other petals. Just a little bit of hot glue in the center. Rotate. Look at a petal and place it in between. And then you can stir it a little bit just to make sure it adheres. And then we're going to work with our next 3, but we're going to assemble them from the center out. So we're going to separate the 3 petals. We're going to roll them with the smallest metal ball stylus. So they do come in a set of 4. With a different size metal ball tool at each end. So as our petals would get larger on another type of flower, we would switch to a larger metal ball stylus. So just stir right in the center, right in that middle circle. That lifted our petals up off of our surface. Now we're going to place them one in front of the other. So just lift them one in front. Then you're going to twist it. And it'll look like that. Add a dab of hot glue. And we're going to look at a petal and place it in between. I like to hold it there for a moment to allow it to dry, and that's what it looks like. Lift the petals up and around, so I hold one petal and then I'm just placing them one in front of the other around that center. And they should all fall into place. Twist it ever so slightly. We're looking at a petal and placing it in between. So come straight down and press. Look at a petal and place it. I'm sorry. We're folding up the petals, one in front of the other. Oh my gosh, I'm ahead of myself. And again, twist. Add some hot glue. We're going to look at a petal and place it in between, so come straight down. So I do like to stand when I'm assembling my flowers just so they don't get off center. Or try not to get off center. And then open up the petals slightly. So she has a nice like scalloped edge to her. And again, the bottom ones we want pretty flat because we need to assemble them together. So I already have my second flower created, and you can see they would be fitting together to make a flower ball. That will be our body of our angel. Her head will be again our 1-inch wood bead. And now we're going to create our wing. So you're going to cut your wing, so you'll just cut 2 of them, and of course you would flip it over for the opposite side. And for our petals, they're 1 inch high, so if you enter in the height, the width will automatically adjust. So I like to stack 2 of them. So with the curve facing towards the right, I fold it in half or under, fold the sides back. You can crease it ever so slightly, it's okay. Open it up. I pinch the top up. And then with our 18 gauge wire, because we have I just take a small piece, floral stem wire, I curl the ends up or at an angle. And you'll do that for all of your petals. So it's approximately, depending on how you lay them out, each one tends to be a little bit different for me. You know, it could be anywhere from 28 to 32, 25, you know. So it all depends. So I just cut a little extra just in case, because you also want to fill some in after the angel's assembled. Fold it in half where it's backwards. Open it up, bend the top up forward towards you, and then take your tip and roll it a little bit around your 18 gauge wire. And then separate the 2 petals. And one more time. Curve is facing towards the right. Bend it in half. Open it up. Fold forward and then curl the tips. And now we have our pile of petals all ready to go. So I'm going to zoom in for you. as my bead rolls away. So I'm going to use craft glue for this one. In my original one, I did use hot glue, so you can definitely use hot glue. It is a lot less messier with the precision craft glue. So I'm using the smallest precision tip, and we're just going to start at the bottom. So you're placing your glue on that little bent back piece. And then I'm going to place one right in the bottom here. And press, so make sure it adheres. Now you can also bring out, if you already assembled one, just to make sure they're even. Okay, and again, we're placing the glue on the folded back part. Just on that little tip. We're just going to start adding our petals. And Barely Art's craft glue dries pretty fast and super secure. So then I just press down on that tip to make sure that it's attaching. And again, excuse my cold and the sniffling. It's almost gone. And then we just go up a row ever so slightly. So again, that's what depends on where you're placing them each time, how many petals you need. I try and place them in between the previous layers. So you could assemble, like style all these wing petals, so that way you can do a mass assembly of wings. But definitely I am finding the craft glue works a lot better for gluing your wing. So in the instruction document, you will see me use hot glue. But again, my recommendation will be the craft glue. And I do have that noted on the instruction document. So by having these pre-styled your wing petals, the individual ones, it makes the assembly go much faster. So again, I'm just pressing down on that flat part to make sure it adheres. So they are littler petals that we're working with. Sometimes patience is required, friends. And we're just filling in, following our shape of our wing. So you could have some fun, not necessarily using white or cream or anything. You could change the color of the skirt, the wings, the body. Have some fun with this. And the glue just goes on the tip that we bent up. So the roll of the petal is under, but the tips are rolled up. So we're placing it on that little part right there. So I think I have 30 petals I styled so far for this one wing. Now, if you were doing the back of the wing as well, you would definitely need to quadruple your or double the number that I provide, because that would be for 2 wings, so you would be doing the front and the back, so it'd be 4. So we start to curve them around the shape of the wing. So we do want to leave our side edge open, because that's where we're going to glue it to attach it to our flower for the body of our angel. A lot of just filling in. Like I said, each time I make it, it's a different number of petals, but generally in the 30 range. So now we want to come around. Just need a few more styled. So again, we're going to fold it with, so the curve is going to the right. We fold it backward in half. Open it up, pinch up the top. curl the bottom. I'm just going to do 4. So this is 2. I only do 2 at a time, just because they're little. Again, the curl is facing towards the right. Bend backwards in half, fold it in half. So like a mountain, open it up, bend the top forward, and then take your tip and curl it up. So again, I just used 18 gauge wire because it's something skinny, thin. Add your glue to that very tip. It's hard to see because the glue is white and the paper's white. And we're just filling in the spaces. Now you can always use your metal ball stylus or an embossing stylus to make sure they're secure at the bottom. So this one was like 34. You know, you try and do them the same every time. But... oh. So now we have our 2 wings. Now this one I definitely did more out towards the top. So again, each time will be different. Now it did make it a little bit larger, but that's okay. So now we're going to place them down here. And then we're going to figure out our placement. So our flower has to fit in between. And this is where you'll be able to see then, do you need to add some additional petals in there coming out in any empty spots, which you could fill in then after they're glued together, okay? So I'm going to add some hot glue because mostly it's touching up here, my petals. And you can attach one side and then bring the other one in. So we can definitely fill in some spots then. We do want to make sure our angel attaches. So we'll style a few more petals, but she's looking so pretty already. But definitely, yeah, this one, just so watch your placement because they do, if I went further out towards the edge, it made my wing larger. Now we can always add a few more if we wanted to, if we were concerned. So again, fold up the top and curl the bottom. Make sure the curl of the petal is pointing towards the right. Fold it in half. Open it up. Bend up the top. And curl up the bottom. So I'm just going to do about 6. Again, fold it in half. It's not perfect, and that's okay. Just gives it a little bit of shape. Bend the top forward, and then we're going to curl the bottom up with our dowel, our 18 gauge wire. Now these, we may want to use hot glue. See how fast it dries. I just didn't want any glue strings. So they are going slightly over the petals, and that's okay, of your flower. And I'm just filling in those empty spaces. I think one more on that side. And again, it all depends how many petals again you need, so it's always best if you can cut a bunch extra, just so you have it. Because each one again will be different. Okay, so now we have a little bit of empty spots over here. I think maybe one will do it there. One more. This is where I could play around for hours. Open it up, bend the top forward, a little bit of the tip, and then again use your 18 gauge wire to curl the bottom. we're good. All right, now we're going to flip our angel over. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. So now you can see the back of her. So pretty. So again, if you wanted to, you could definitely do the petals on the back, but I would add those after we attach our string and our flower. So we're going to do our string first. So we're just going to cut a piece of jute or twine, whatever you want to call it. And I'll do about 10 inches roughly. And I will be cutting it in half, but I'm going to take the open ends. And we're going to glue it with hot glue in the center, okay? Because we need her to, she's an ornament, so we need the string in the center. So add your string right in the center. I'm going to add a little bit over top just to be sure. Now I'm going to look at my petals and place them in between the previous layer's petals. So maybe it's easier if you look at the bottom and come straight down. I'm trying not to move that flower so it shifts. Now for the skirt, we can slide it in between, but I did add that lastly. Let's just flip her over and make sure she... Now we can add some glue to our petals to make sure it attaches to the wing. I might... Sorry, I was off camera a little bit. Just wanted to make sure they attached. So I was adding a little bit of glue to the underside of our bottom petals. So if we look at it from the front, that's what she looks like. Now, I did open mine up. You could potentially thread, let's see if it works. Yep, you can thread it through. And that will be our head of our angel, but what I would suggest is adding some glue right on your string to make sure so she doesn't move her head a lot. So that way when we press it down, her head should stay in the middle. And you can also add some glue in there. I did tie my first one. I made a knot just so I knew it wouldn't move. I think I'm okay there. So, I mean, that's an option. That's where I cut apart my 2 strings at the top, and then I made a few knots also so she wouldn't move her head. And then I just knotted the top. And I think since I added it at the bottom, we are okay. So then I'm just going to make a knot. So either or, whatever works. And then I just cut off the rest. So if you want, you can put a little bit of hot glue down there. Lastly, we just need to add her skirt. And all we do is slip it in between the 2 layers with some hot glue. And then our angel will be complete. So you just add a little bit of glue up top. So you can use your craft glue at that point or your hot glue. I did use hot glue. So add it to both sides. And then we're slipping it in between the petals, the 2 flower petals. And it's kind of best just to hold it and see where it falls best, like where you think placement is best. Isn't she beautiful? So again, if you wanted, oops, I have a glue string. If you wanted to, you could definitely add them on the back. So if you wanted a full, you know, effect angel, you could do that. And of course, you could add them on her skirt if you chose. But I like it just kind of like she has the beautiful wings, and we kept the top and the bottom. Very simple. Excuse my reach. Again, each one is a little bit different depending on how you make them, like your placement of your petals. So super duper cute. Hope you enjoyed this craft, and thank you for watching.